Whoa. Alright, this was strong. It's a quick tier 100 clear. Let's see if we can do it again. Wow. Okay. Does great on bosses too. And one more time for good measure. Alright. There's no denying that Twisting Blades is the most popular class for Rogue right now. And I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you otherwise, but there's no denying that Twisting Blades is not for everyone. And what I've come up with here is actually a ranged rogue build that's extremely tanky, very, very strong, able to clear tier 100s, able to basically one button any other content in the game, you know, overworld content, health tides, stuff like that. It doesn't use a generator. It's got 7 skills. It's really crazy. And if you know, Twisting Blades is not for you and you'd like to try out something with Range Rogue, I'm going to direct you right here. And the range skill that we're going to use is Rapid Fire. You'll notice on our skill bar we have no generators at all because they are unnecessary with this build. And we actually get to utilize 7 skills. You'll notice I'm using Dark Shroud around me, but Dark Shroud is not in my bar. And I'll show you how we are doing that if you don't already know. So this build actually utilizes a number of skills. For imbuements, we're running Cold Imbue, and I'll show you why when we look at the gear. And we have a number of utility skills. We're running dual traps and dual agility skills, with Rapid Fire being our main source of damage, energy sustain, and everything else in between. So the skills that we are using are Poison Trap, Shadow Step, Cold Imbuement, Dash, Rapid Fire, Death Trap, and you'll notice that we have Dark Shroud as well. Well, let's look at the gear and see how we are doing it. We've got the enshrouding aspect on our helm, and this is going to give each Dark Shroud of us an additional 4% damage reduction. This is how we get so tanky that we can tank corpse bows or bosses, anything in between. We have Disobedience on the armor for more defense for when we're doing those tier 100 Nightmare dungeons. We have Shared Misery, and this is to combine with our Mangler aspect in order to spread around not only our days, but also our Frozen from Cold Imbuement, and we're going to combine that with Frostbitten on the amulet, which is giving us a extremely large multiplicative damage boost to our critical strike damage against frozen enemies. So Shared Misery is going to help spread that frozen CC effect and effectively combine with Frostbitten to just deal ungodly amounts of damage, and you'll see that the entire screen of T100s explode. We're using Umbrus on our pants, and that's so that we can have our uptime on Dark Shroud. Anglers, we said. Repeating is probably your most important offensive aspect on Rapid Fire. The 90%, you want to get as close to that as possible. This is more or less a build enabling Rapid Fire aspect, so you want it on your two-hander, and we're running a crossbow here. Frostbitten we reviewed. On our amulet we have Exploit, energy cost reduction. This is helpful for maintaining our energy. Blast Trappers on the ring, and this is so we can have significant uptime on our vulnerable, since we're using dual traps and we don't have a resource generator that's applying vulnerable for us. Blast Trapper is really important to keep that vulnerable up. Intercom, because a lot of the times what's really great about playing a range build is you can kind of just stand there, fire in all which way, any direction you want. It's not like Twisting Blades where you have to, you know, get up in close and personal and keep moving around. It's a very relaxing, chill play style, which is why I've actually kind of liked the break from Twisting Blades a bit to mess around here and find a really good range build. And that's one of the things I like the most, is that it's very easy on the wrist. It's been very chill to play, and it's actually pretty comparable, maybe only a few minutes slower on clearing a tier 100 than Twisting Blades, which is, I think, pretty impressive. We have Edge Masters on the on our one-hander. This is because we pretty much sustain energy throughout the entirety of the run. It's very easy to sustain with rapid fire. It's just a really good core skill for that. Combined with all of our resource generators, we really are most of the time at max energy, so we get a good benefit from Edge Masters. And then accelerating, since we are only using a core skill, we end up proccing accelerating a lot, so we get to benefit from it. The bread and butter of this build is actually preparation. So you are going to be hard pressed to find a single range build that doesn't use combo points, and for good reason. Combo points can be really strong. It is insanely strong for certain builds. Even for rapid fire builds, combo points can be a good specialization to use when combined with a condemnation dagger. Our goal was to have something that's a little less clunky. It's really not a fun or exciting playstyle to have to go, 3 resource generators and then your main damage. I just want to do main damage the entire time. That's what we're doing here. I figure if we're switching over from Twisting Blades, where everyone is playing, combo points, I want to do it right. I want to do something different, and we were able to achieve that with preparation. Really extremely helpful for the build. This is helping maintain our uptime of Cold Imbue. So we combine preparation with Death Trap, and then we also have Poison Trap, and we are combining all of those with our key passive, Exposure. So exposure is really great because what exposure is going to do for us is give us a significant amount of cooldown reduction for our ultimate, which is resetting all of our cooldowns, and our poison trap, which also resets our imbuement cooldown. So our uptime on cold imbue is almost the entire time. I mean, it's very rare that we are not going to have uptime on our cold imbue through a combination of countering poison trap, death trap, exposure, and preparation. These 4 skills working in tandem are extremely strong, extremely powerful, and we get a lot of damage as a result. So this is how the build is functioning through basically those 4 skills. Let's go through the rest of the skills now. We're running Puncture just to move to our next area here. We've got Rapid Fire, Enhanced Rapid Fire, Advanced Rapid Fire. Now, if you're having issues with energy sustain, if you don't have all of the perfect affixes on your gear to get it, you could always run Improved Rapid Fire. This is going to make it so you basically never use any energy on the skill. Really useful. But we're going to go with the extra damage because we can sustain pretty well. Sturdy for damage reduction. Shadow Step to get out of CC and get unstoppable. Here we have Concussive and Trick Attacks. This is for extra CC on enemies and some extra damage. Weapon Mastery here for more damage. Dash. I have Dash on my boots, but if you don't have Dash on your boots, you could just take one out of Trick Attack and put one in. But I get to save the skill, so I'll put it in something else. We're maxing Dark Shroud. Now this is important because it's not going to be a skill on your skill bar necessarily, but it's going to be your uptime on it is going to be pretty much all the time. Thanks to the Umbrus aspect, when you use marksman skills, it's going to proc. And since we are attacking so often with rapid fire, we're often getting our Dark Shrouds up 5 out of 5, and it's going to protect us from anything you could find in a T100. Exploit and Malice for more damage. Countering Poison Trap, which we said to help reset our cooldowns and get knocked down. And just it's another trap, which helps cool down our Death Trap with exposure. So it's really this really great inner working of both traps and rapid fire to get significant uptime on our cooldown, on our cold imbuement, so that we're constantly spamming cold imbue, freezing, and dealing crazy amounts of damage, huge green explosions, and so forth. So Frigid Finesse, because we're gonna have enemies frozen a lot of the time. Precision Imbuement, because we have a lot of cold imbue going out. Death Trap we discussed. Innervation, this is just a little bit more help on the energy sustain. And Trap Mastery, because again we're running the dual traps. Now the Paragon board. Oh, the Paragon board. This one was a beaut. I'm really happy with how this Paragon board came out. We have so much defense and offense in this Paragon board, and I'm gonna just go through real quick kind of what we're doing and the important nodes that we're we're going to hit on. So we're starting off with Devious. It's pumping up all of our rare nodes here, coming and grabbing a ton of life. Then we go into our exploit weakness board. Now this board we're utilizing almost basically to its fullest potential. We see we have some max life up here. We've got damage reduction from vulnerable. We've got vulnerable damage, more vulnerable damage. So we're taking everything and we're just branching out all 4 ways because this board is just so great. And we're also grabbing our exploit weakness so that we can get more damage to vulnerable. Then we go into tricks of the trade. And we grab some damage to enemies, some armor, damage to elites, and we throw in the ranger aspect. Here we come up and get Frost Feeder for increased chill effect and damage to chill targets. Because we're using cold imbuement, we get a lot of uptime on that. Get some core skill damage, some more armor. Then we're going up and getting efficacy here. Efficacy is giving us a huge multiplier to one of the most important defensive stats in the game, maximum life. So here we're getting 18% maximum life just from this one node, thanks to efficacy. And we're also getting a ton of damage to healthy on this board. And basically it's easy enough to get efficacy maxed out just from this one knowledge node. So really great synergies on this board. This is your no witness board. We're going to come over and grab Deadly Ambush. Deadly Ambush is a great trap board. Since we're utilizing dual traps, we get a multiplicative critical strike damage increase from Deadly Ambush itself. We're going to run Exploit here, and we're going to come up and grab the arm time reduction. Now this is just great since we're running dual traps. That half a second trap time reduction really actually ends up making a big difference. So we're going to grab it, and it's going to help us with our death trap and our poison trap. We're going to be constantly spamming those because it's going to be resetting all of our cooldowns just by having those up all the time. And the spring loaded is really a great aspect for that. Here, damage reduction for enemies that are trapped. We get just enough strength for the extra armor boost on our Slayer node. And that's thanks to the all attributes on our gear. And then we're going to go in and grab the cheap shot board just at the end. This is a great one because you can get this huge damage reduction from elites, which is a dexterity based rare node. Even though it's on your 7th board, we still get the extra 6.5%. So huge damage reduction from elites there. And we're going to grab combat for our critical strike energy sustain. So we get extra energy sustain there and some more crit damage. That's the Paragon board. For our Malignant Hearts, we're running Heart of the Barber, Wrathful Heart. We're running Revenge for damage reduction. And we're running Trickery for the decoy and the taunt. So these are all extremely important to the build. If you're running on Eternal and you don't have Heart of the Barber, I'm going to recommend that you actually throw on Shadow Imbuement instead, or in addition, so that you can get that nice AoE damage on top. So no problem if you're on Eternal, this build still works. So when we go in and we're fighting the dungeon, you're going to see if we have Cold Imbuement on cooldown, we can just put it up and basically blow up all of the mobs around us. If we don't, then we have Poison Trap, which has a 30% chance to reset our cooldown. So we're going to actually use the Poison Trap as a decoy, and it's going to gather everything around. We're going to then use our Cold Imbuement and destroy everything. If Cold Imbuement's on cooldown, Poison Trap's on cooldown, we always have our Death Trap available to us, which is going to completely reset all of our cooldowns, which is really great. And so the longer that enemies are in your death trap and your poison trap, or just under the effects of your poison trap, so if they've been poisoned, at any point in time, if you're attacking those, it's going to reduce the cooldown on both of your traps. So it's really important when your traps are up and in effect and there are monsters in them, even if you don't have cold imbuement up, just keep attacking them. it costs you nothing to just attack with rapid fire. It's constantly regenerating. You're dealing nice damage, and you're actually lowering the cooldown significantly by up to 20% each time you attack on Death Trap and Poison Trap, which are going to be our two main cooldown resets. So it works really, really well together. Not only that, but it's going to provide you a great amount of CC. There's so much CC and defense on the build with Manglers and Shared Misery and Cold Imbue, plus Death Trap and Poison Trap. It's really great, really safe, and I think it's going to be a lot easier of a T100 clear than Twisting Blades, and I think probably just more enjoyable depending on what your playstyle is. So I hope you like the build. I'm going to flash my stats up on the screen really quickly just so you can take a look and get a sense of, where all my stats are at. I don't have all the best aspects, but if you look in the planner, it will... I'm going to flash my stats up on the screen, and you can get a sense for where I'm at. I don't have all the best affixes necessarily, but in the planner, we'll have your ideal, 4 out of 4, what you want to go for. So here's what I have, and with it, the tier 100s are very easy. It's a little bit slower than Twisting Blades, but I think it's a lot more fun. The range is a lot more safe as well. So if you're playing on hardcore, for instance, this is an extremely safe build. The uptime on your Dark Shroud makes it so the corpse bows really don't deal much damage to you. So I hope you enjoy the build, and I'll see you in the next one.